Ugandans. The judiciary has come up with various mechanisms, among others, to open court days, talk shows, and mobile van barazas to create public awareness on judicial services. Now, speaking at judiciary headquarters in Kampala, the Chief Registrar, Sarah Lang-Su, highlighted on procedures detailing on how criminal matters will be handled from the complaint stage to the sentencing, especially in magistrate courts. All right. Now, Kampala Capital City Authority technical team has been tasked to present a complete contract agreement for the purchase of 7 ambulances and 5 motorcycles following their failure to give accountability of 3.7 billion shillings cited in the Auditor General's report of 2022 to have been spent. Now, the chairperson of the Parliamentary Committee on Statutory Authorities and State Enterprises, Joel Senyonyi, said the half-baked information KCCA officials presented in an extract document from the agreement lacks the quantities of what was procured. And more, the International Crimes Division Court has set 17th of April 2023 to proceed with the pre-trial hearing of the case where the Omusingawe Renzururu, Charles Wesley Mumbere and 200 subjects are accused of offences of treason, murder, terrorism, among others, in Kasese. Now, this follows the absence of the accused persons in court who were supposed to appear via Zoom but failed due to the internet interruptions.
And looking at the international scene, now, 2 of the 4 Americans kidnapped at gunpoint in Mexico last week are dead and 2 are alive and now back in the U.S., according to the Mexican and U.S. officials. 4 U.S. citizens were kidnapped by armed men on 3rd March while driving into the city of Matamoros in the northeastern state of Tamaulipas, Mexico, across the border from Texas. They had traveled there for cosmetic surgery, relatives told U.S. media. One man, named only as Jose N. 24 from Tamaulipas, has been arrested. White House National Security Council spokesman John Kirby said, "We offer our deepest condolences to the friends and families of those who were killed in these attacks." The 2 surviving victims were delivered to the U.S. on Tuesday in cooperation with the U.S. Consulate in Matamoros, Tamaulipas. Attorney General Irving Barrios Mojica said in a tweet. Well, damage caused by last month's devastating earthquakes in Turkey will exceed $100 billion, according to a United Nations Development Program official, ahead of a major donor conference next week. More than 52,000 people were killed in southern Turkey and northwestern Syria by the February 6th tremors. Many were crushed or buried as they slept. The provisional damage figure, which Vinton said covers only Turkey, is being used as a basis for a donor conference on March 16th in Brussels to raise money for survivors and reconstruction. The World Bank previously estimated the direct damage in Turkey at $34.2 billion, but it said recovery and reconstruction costs will be much higher and losses to Turkey's gross domestic product associated with economic disruptions caused by the quakes will also add to the cost. Well, back in Africa here, Somalia is working closely to restore peace in its northern breakaway region of Somaliland amid heightening tensions between the region's authorities and local clan forces, President Hassan Sheikh Mohamud told several media outlets. "We believe that unity is the only solution, but we don't want this unity through violence, which makes matters worse. Mahmoud told media outlets. Violence erupted after leaders of the Sul, Senag and Kain provinces of Somaliland, which claimed independence from Somalia back in 1991, announced their intention to rejoin Somalia. Fighting broke out last month around the town of Laskanud in Sul, killing at least 80 people and displacing more than 185,000, according to the UN. Now looking at weather and climate, Cyclone Freddy is expected to make landfall again in Mozambique later this week after it struck Madagascar for a second time on Monday. Madagascar's government says 8 people were killed and more than 1,000 homes were destroyed. The storm first wreaked havoc in southeastern Africa in late February, killing 21 people and displacing thousands in both countries. Meteorologists say it is rare for a storm to make such a loop. The tropical cyclone is on track to become the longest lasting storm on record, and it continues to gain strength. The storm has already broken records for the strength it has accumulated and the 8,000-kilometer path it's traveled across the Indian Ocean. Its longevity and strength have drawn the interest of weather experts globally. Well, it's Good Morning Uganda, and quite a very special one at that. We are celebrating women all over the world, but most especially women here in Uganda. And today we decide to give special attention to the women in technology, celebrating them, their achievements, their milestones. And also we look to identify the gaps when it comes to taking on opportunities in these tech spaces by women, but also how we can use technology, how we can use innovation to make sure that we answer questions that are gender-based related, and of course how we can be able to forge a way forward to ensure that there is equal representation of women in this field, not just only here in Uganda but also on a global scale. And that is why in this morning's poll question we would love to hear from you, our audience. Let us know, do you think women have embraced the opportunities in technology and innovation as an industry? Do you believe women have embraced enough opportunities in the technology and innovation industry? If you think they have, well, you could give us accountability in your own opinion. And if you feel like we haven't, what do you think could be the reason? Let us know. Get into our socials, #UBCGMU, and of course our WhatsApp platform is also open to you, 0709 602 592. Let us know what you think about this. Definitely I'll be sharing with the rest of our Good Morning Uganda family as we go on and on. Myself and Kazimoto, we are here to take you. We are taking on the steer and the driving wheel rather, and we're very happy to see that you are with us. Yes, it's a national holiday and a public holiday and an international public holiday. I would urge you to know why you are actually home, not at work. You know, it's very interesting. Very many people are really excited because they know the next day I am not going to office, but they don't even know why.
Yes.
Yes.
And that's quite unfortunate.
So please take time and understand why. You have women in your lives, in your societies, so definitely it will be quite wonderful to get all this information as to why we're celebrating them today. We'll go for a short break. When we get back, we'll be having some more insightful conversations about women in technology, looking at Uganda specifically, how we are doing on that front. Good morning, Uganda will return shortly.
Positions in managerial positions. Maybe a question also I should also pose to the men: are you giving enough support to female counterparts? Are you the people who are giving, you know, the name, saying, oh, Philomena can actually do, you know, a good job?
Yes.
And actually some men are threatened or fear being, you know, fear being led by women. I do not know why.
Yes, yes.
You know, I wish we could have a man here who could actually give us
us quite a clear explanation
for the many men in the world.
But it shouldn't really be a threat, although I do acknowledge that men are really coming on board. They are understanding that women do have all these capacities, the capabilities to be good leaders. It's no wonder that now when you look at the banking sector, I must tell you, Kazimoto, I am seeing women taking on more leadership positions.
Oh, yes.
This is one of those biggest fields that women have always shunned away from.
Yes.
Because I mean, quite patently, it's male dominated.
True.
But you know, taking on a position like that, you're dealing with money, you're dealing with, I don't know, whatever it is
yes.
they deal with, but it's quite complicated. I know there are some complexities that are attached to it. So I mean, women taking on some stronger positions like this, it makes me happy, and it really shows that there is some green light at the end of the tunnel. So it's not time for you to give up, and that is why we have days like this, the International Women's Day, to remind you every single day and to ensure we actually do a checkup and a follow-up when it comes to appreciation of the efforts we have put in as we talk about women empowerment, and also use this as a platform, as an opportunity to ensure that we call for more sensitization, we create more awareness about where some of these gender gaps are. Some of them could be blind spots without you knowing, and that is why we are here to make sure that we open your eyes to these blind spots when we are talking about gender imbalances. Anyway, we could go on and on and on and on. There is quite a lot we are yet to discuss, but also we cannot forget some of our story highlights, what happened in our papers, both locally and internationally, and do expect quite celebrations happening in all preparations for the main celebrations. Kazimoto here is going to be taking us through some of the local stories. What we have this morning.
All right, now in the local scene, Parliament has cited corruption in the management of the National Social Security Fund. Everybody has been talking about this. Now, as the MPs debate the report of the select committees on the state of affairs, positions in managerial positions, maybe a question also I should also pose to the men: are you giving enough support to female counterparts? Are you the people who are giving, you know, the name, saying, oh, Philomena can actually do, you know, a good job?
Yes.
And actually some men are threatened or fear being, you know, fear being led by women. I do not know why.
Yes.
You know, I wish we could have a man here who could actually give
us quite a clear explanation
for the many men in the world.
But it shouldn't really be a threat, although I do acknowledge that men are really coming on board. They are understanding that women do have all these capacities, the capabilities to be good leaders. It's no wonder that now when you look at the banking sector, I must tell you, Kazimoto, I am seeing women taking on more leadership positions.
Oh, yes.
This is one of those biggest fields that women have always shunned away from.
Yes.
Because I mean, quite patently, it's male dominated.
True.
But you know, taking on a position like that, you're dealing with money, you're dealing with, I don't know, whatever it is
yes.
they deal with, but it's quite complicated. I know there are some complexities that are attached to it. So I mean, women taking on some stronger positions like this, it makes me happy, and it really shows that there is some green light at the end of the tunnel. So it's not time for you to give up, and that is why we have days like this, the International Women's Day, to remind you every single day and to ensure we actually do a checkup and a follow-up when it comes to appreciation of the efforts we have put in as we talk about women empowerment, and also use this as a platform, as an opportunity to ensure that we call for more sensitization, we create more
minded men and women.
Money tends to move faster at night. So when
people are not counting,
don't take it for granted.
Candid and authentic.
Because Uganda is not Thailand.
That's not correct, and we should stop that kind of mentality.
So what I'm saying
That's
is
a trick question. Don't answer.
I'm not getting into that. I'm not getting into that.
Tell him you speak Luo.
I think that's where we are beginning to have a problem.
Was brought to you by
Gatawa with MTN Momo Advance. Momo Advance tops up your Momo to complete your transactions. Dial star 165 star 5 star 3 hash to apply. MTN Momo Advance is always available when you need it.
Paying your bills the old way.
Let's go, let's go. Just need to buy some power.
Paying your bills with the My Airtel app.
Bro, there's a line.
You have the power in your pocket. The power to instantly pay your bills hassle-free. Unlock that power with the My Airtel app. Visit the App Store or Google Play now.
Oh, you're back.
The Tales of Kasozi, brought to you by Uganda Communications Commission.
Hello? Hello? This is Kasozi. How can I help you?
Hey, Kasozi, my brother. Long time. We last met when we were at campus. It's been a while, but you are the person I'm looking for.
Campus? Really?
Hey, you don't remember me?
Okay, so how can I help you?
I'm stuck in Gulu making millions, and I need to urgently send money to my sick mother. But I can't find any mobile money agent near me. I've sent the money to your phone, as you can see the message. It might take a few minutes to come through, but I urgently need you to send the money to my mother. Let me send you her number, and you send it to her chap.
My friend, I'm afraid your mom is going to die.
What?
Because I don't know you, I never went to campus, and I'm also in Gulu. So can we meet at CPS, we talk about it?
Stay tuned for what Kasozi does next.
Tom Feder, refrain from unnecessary engagements with strangers over the phone. This message is powered by the Uganda Communications Commission.
Get the most affordable 4G smartphone in Uganda from Airtel. Now heavily discounted from 250,000 shillings to 150,000 shillings only. Yes, 150,000 shillings only to keep you connected to your loved ones.
Dial *175*94# to activate free 1 GB instantly and 100% double data on all weekly and monthly bundles for 3 months. Get one today while stock lasts from the nearest Airtel shop. With Airtel, the smartphone network.
This is Good Morning Uganda.
Five minutes past 7 a.m. here in Good Morning Uganda. Welcome to the agenda this very moment. If you just joined us, it's not too late. You have come in rightly at the appropriate time. My name is Philomena Masco. And this morning, I am joined by Kazimoto, and we'll be talking about women. This very specific hour, we'll be looking at the women in technology. And of course, this is in line with the theme for the global celebrations for the International Women's Day, but also here, Uganda as a country. And under the global theme, digital innovation for agenda eco future. And of course, looking at Uganda's equal opportunities in education, science and technology for innovation and agenda future. Now, this theme emphasizes the promotion of innovation in the digital age through equity in education, looking at equity in science and technology for women and girls generally, for us to be able to achieve agenda equal future, and also to be able to appreciate some of these digital spaces that have been readily availed for us here in Uganda. And if they haven't, what is the plan? What is the Ministry of ICT? Now, looking at what is happening right now, one of the most advanced areas, or the most where we're looking at quite fast dynamics is technology, and technology is taking over in all sectors, economically, socially and politically, and just not only here in Uganda but even in the global space. But reality hits us hard to admit to the fact that men are still quite more dominant in these spaces. Women are also in there, but the representation is not satisfactory, if I should use that. It's not satisfactory enough. And personally, the belief is that we can still do a lot to have women. But like I did say in the beginning, Kazimoto, I know and understand that there are very many supporting factors to ensure that we achieve this very specific target, 100%. But also looking at some of the situation analysis as presented by the ICT, the Ministry of ICT, on access and utilization of technology, the females attribute the low ownership of mobile phones to cost involved. About 67% of households reported that the television was owned individually, while 31% stated that it was owned jointly. Now, 73% of households reported that the radio was individually owned, while 26% was jointly owned by household members. Now, you can look at some of these things, even to the smallest bit, owning a radio, owning a television, which is still a device that is considered to be part of technology. We are seeing that ownership by the women is very, very minimal compared to the male counterparts. And this is where I would really love to hear from you. Do you think that women generally have been represented quite well in the technology spaces? They could be on the receiving part, or they could be part of the solutions, people who find solutions, you know, looking at women working in tech. Do you think the representation is good or it's satisfactory?
Well, to be honest, I feel that we are not there yet. We're somewhat, I think we kind of like lack mentors, you know, in the world of technology, and for that matter, and also women are not that confident, you know, venturing into technology. You know, technology is a fast growing kind of entity that many people are trying to embrace right now, and you find that our male counterparts are embracing it more than our female counterparts. But I feel we're steadily getting there. We're steadily getting there. Yeah.
But you see, when you say that, I've interacted with a couple of people personally as a woman. I may not exactly be quite an active person in technology, but I'll give you my experience. The moment I'm interacting with men in the ICT or anybody that is in the ICT world, they use words like programming, talking about words like coding, all these words that are used in these professionals. Yes, outsourcing. And if it wasn't because probably I have specific interest in knowing what these are, and maybe because my job also entails me to know what this is, I would probably be shunning away from that. So I do believe that this profession is still quite characterized by male dominance. There is a whole big percentage of male dominance in this field. But also looking at still some more statistics that are coming in from the Ministry of ICT regarding technology and innovation. 66% block perpetrators as a means of responding to online violence, while 14.5% of women actually deactivated their social media accounts to escape the abuse that they are subjected to online. And this would be quite another topic I would love for us to talk about. When we talk about violence, especially online, that is targeted towards the female gender, I mean, what do you think is driving this? I don't know if you have been a victim, and I could say have been a victim in one way or another. And there are very many other women every other day. We live in a world of technology. We live, and probably some people breathe social media right now. But yes, we have seen all this happening, and seeing statistics showing that women are actually blocking out more of their accounts because of the violence that happens online. How do you feel about this?
I feel, first of all, women are the biggest number of I would say we have the biggest number of people who are attacked or talked about on social media. I wouldn't say that I've been a victim, but I mean, just looking at my fellow women, you know, on social media and being attacked, and you know, the private information being spread out throughout social media. Yes, we're the biggest number of those who, you know, tend to block this, but usually we do it like after the danger or after the fire. Yes, you know. So yeah, why not? Because social media abuse is big right now. Yes. And you'll be so surprised that many people use this for their benefit and not the person who is being affected.
Yes.
Most cases, who is the woman, and that's quite unfortunate.
Yes.
Looking at our male counterparts, I don't really see them being so much of victims. Of course, there are a few of them who are victims of social media abuse. But back to, of course, the women, it opens our eyes at the end of the day of being cautious on what kind of information that you put on social media. At the end of the day, someone can get it and use it for either good,
yes,
and maybe in most cases evil. So we have to look out for some of the signs, and then also look out for each other, you know,
yes,
like arrange your fellow queen's crown instead of pushing it down.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, as we go on with this conversation, just to remind you of our poll question this morning, where I would love to hear from you, the UBCGMU family. Do you think women have embraced the opportunities in the technological sector? Do you believe, or do you think that women have gone ahead to embrace some of these opportunities that are in the technological sector? And if not, how do we help them? How do we make these opportunities or platforms known to them? How do we get to push them to actually get these opportunities? Let us know. Get into our Twitter, get into the hashtag is UBCGMU. You can also jump onto our WhatsApp platform, that is 0709-602-592. But yes, back to science and technology for innovation and a gender equal future. I personally believe that these could be tools that we can use to empower women, and I do believe that technology could be used to advance women in several fronts, politically, economically, and socially. Every other day, even His Excellency on several occasions has really advocated for technological advancement. So maybe a couple of years from now, we'll be looking at all our sectors running on technology. I'm looking at agriculture, I'm looking at politics, I am looking at the economy itself. We could be basing around technology. It's even no wonder that this same economic development is envisaged in the third National Development Plan, that is 2021 to 2024-2025. And this will also be exploring the impact of the digital gender gap on widening economic and social inequalities, as well as spotlight the importance of protecting the rights of women and girls in the digital spaces, addressing online and ICT facilitated gender-based violence. But yes, still looking at the scope over there, maybe again to take you through some more statistics as released by the ICT. It actually shows that according to the 7th annual report of the State of Equal Opportunities in Uganda and Gender Equity ICT Compact 2017, only 0.8% female had email addresses compared to 3.4% of their male counterparts. Now, a significant number, 78.2% of those who own mobile phones are male compared to 63.4% among females. And also showing NITA Uganda Services Internet Bandwidth, which is still running clearly at about $70 per MBs for every month, consequently only at 1.1% of women and 3.7% men used internet. So again, speaking of internet, all of these statistics still showing that women are still using internet quite at a slower rate compared to the men. Why do you think this is happening? Why are we not embracing internet? There is quite a lot that you can do on the internet. Mobile phones usage and ownership is still quite low amongst women. Why could that be?
Well, I don't want to say that because women, we multitask.
Yes, yes.
That would be kind of odd. But to be honest, I really feel that we do a lot as women.
Yes.
And the a lot, I mean, some of us are mothers, are working mothers, and you know, usually when you get home, it's yes, I have to you know, prepare a meal, I have to take care of my children, I have to do this, I have to do that. And also, I mean, you have to take care of the family. It's a whole circle of life if you look at it in that way. And meanwhile, our male counterparts, you know, all they have to do is just make the money and then come home and you know, cater for their family, and that's pretty much it. That's the way I look at it, because of course I've experienced it as well. When I'm home, I'll put my cell phone down, I'll put my computer down. I don't want to, you know, bring work to the home. On the other hand, the male counterparts will be like, okay, I've been doing some work at home, you know, in the office. Let me go finish it at home. Yes. Therefore, they are, you know, using more of internet than, you know, the female counterparts.
Yes. Now, I wanted us to look at some of the challenges, and independently, some of the challenges that are being faced by women, especially in the tech industry. And the reasons, very interestingly, are quite global. They are mutual, shared by different countries. Could be here in Uganda, it could be even in other countries. I'll tell you one thing, Kazimoto, we are talking about the underrepresentation of women, and I personally believe that lack of female role models in tech is actually quite one of the biggest issues we have. You know, how we have very many people we look up to in different, you know, fronts, in different fields. We are looking at women in politics. Lucky for us, we are having quite a bigger representation now of women, and taking on some more leadership positions. But I'll tell you that in the tech industry, according to statistics that were actually carried out, that was according to Finances Online, women hold less than 20% of executive positions in these offices, especially in the tech industries, in the tech firms. Now, this definitely encourages a bit of loneliness by these women, and there are very few people who would actually want to take on a responsibility like that, especially for the girls and the ladies out there. As somebody will tell you, I don't want to be the only person who is working in this tech industry alone. I don't want to be like that lady. We haven't been able to give them the courage to show them that, listen, you can actually be part of this, and you can you can take on an executive role in a tech industry. So I personally believe that it will make you feel like you are incapable of handling some of these responsibilities that come with positions like that. I have talked to a couple of women of the women, especially in the tech industry here in Uganda, and one of the reasons they will tell you is that even when you're taking on a position like that, it's very hard to be taken serious, especially if you're one of the few women in a tech firm or a tech company. You know, it expands away even from the government-owned ministries, departments, and agencies. If you expound it to privately owned tech firms and companies, I mean, you're not really given that. You don't command the respect as you should taking on a position like that. And I do believe that because of all these insinuations, there are very few people who would love to take on a role like that. I mean, looking at women, I don't want to be the one up there holding that position and by myself, and I have to handle all these men. It becomes quite a very serious situation, and also it has a big impact and influence on the younger girls, on the younger women, the young adults who would probably want to take on a career path in that line. But also looking at prejudice based on gender, which is another challenge that women in tech must have overcome. In fact, studies have revealed that despite having equivalent degrees, males are more likely than women to get promoted. Why? Now, in terms of the performance at work, women are frequently subjected to harsher conditions, especially in the tech industry. And now, based on a 2017 research that was showing 50% of women and only 19% of males reported experiencing gender discrimination at work. And because of this prejudice, it may be challenging for women to develop in these jobs and be considered as serious. So prejudice is still something we are facing, and it is supported by all the stereotypes, even the cultural and societal settings that we have grown in. We do believe that males can really perform much better when it comes to some of these some of the descriptions in their jobs, in the job lines that they have to do. So I believe that this is also really lagging us back, especially for the women. But I would love to know what you think about sexual harassment, because I know it's quite a common problem for both men and women. We have to acknowledge that as well in the computer industry. But do you think it's more prevalent, especially to the women? And why do you think women are more susceptible to a problem like that, sexual harassment specifically?
Oh, sexual harassment.
Where could you start from?
Where should I start from? Because it's a very common vice that is not only obviously in the tech industry, but also in other industries and entities as well. And of course, women have definitely come up to speak about, being harassed by either their male counterparts from clients and even strangers, and also at tech events. So this is a very common thing, and it also makes it difficult for women to work in such environments because of some of these things. Number one, they're few.
Yes.
And then another thing is that they're now women. I don't know if it comes up from being a threat, because there's this thing that what a man can do, a woman can do better. So I don't know if this is kind of a threat thing that comes up, which leads to sexual harassment. But also another thing is I've realized that many women in tech, there's a kind of way that they dress.
Yes. Oh yes, yes.
And this is a tech guru, a tech geek or something like that. So maybe just an encouragement to women, the way we present ourselves, the way that we dress into something that is comfortable and something that is not too revealing, because of course, you find male counterparts seeing and saying it, oh, why is she in baggy jeans, things like that. And people have all sorts of thoughts that, that go through men's minds. So encouragement to women, do not, of course, lose hope. This is an industry that we can definitely maneuver in and eventually conquer at the end of the day.
Okay. Well, celebrating International Women's Day and looking at women being innovative, women taking on more spaces in the technological world, what do you think is not being done, or what is actually being done, especially looking at Uganda here as a subject of discussion this specific morning? And this also is in line to the world's theme, Digital All Innovation for Agenda Eco Future. Remember that we'll be having our International Women's Day celebrations here in Uganda, but specifically in Rushere, Chiruhura district. So do not miss the whole event, how things are going to be unfolding. Lucky for you, we'll be showing that here on UBC TV. You can be part of it to see who is there, what was said, to encourage the young girls, the ladies, even the women there to show our vote of thanks on what they are doing to encourage the younger people, but also to create more awareness. Well, also reminding you of our poll question before we continue with the challenges of the women in the tech industry. Just to let you know, do you think that women have taken on more opportunities in the technological industry? Do you believe that that is a field that we have actually decided to embrace as women to make sure that we create a change and also we take on? I live to see a day where we are occupying most of those positions, most of those spaces at a rate of about 90%, Kazimoto. At least when I see that, I'll know I know that my job here is done. But yes, continuing with the challenges of women in the tech industry and what could be causing, what is accounting for the small numbers. Ali Brown, I did talk about prejudice. Now, there is also another issue that has come to notice, especially on a global scale, that is the imposter syndrome victims. Now, because of this prejudice, Kazimoto, there are other side effects to this. It's a trickle effect. One problem causes another problem. And when you look at imposter syndrome, clearly this is just the unwillingness to accept that some of the achievements you have made as a woman in a tech industry or in a leadership tech position, that you actually own some of these, actually you own all these achievements. You don't believe it because of the prejudice that is imposed on you by the men you work with, but even by society. And it's quite very sad that some of this prejudice is even caused by the fellow women. It may not even be necessarily in the tech industry, even outside there, because probably they don't understand, they don't get an inner sense of what it is that you do. You're going to be prejudiced because of that. So I do believe that prejudice is one of the things. And again, when you look at the aftermath of this, you're looking at anxiousness, you're looking at extra work for you, and you start not believing what you're doing. How are you going to spread the gospel to the rest of the girls who are probably looking on taking a direction like that to ensure that we fill up more spaces? So there is that whole imposter syndrome, especially for victims. But also, can we, for a minute, talk about not enough sponsors? I've realized that powerful individuals known as sponsors are the first people, or probably among the first people we need to blame for this. You know why? Because I have seen most tech firms that have been, especially now, let's take it to the SME level, these small, medium enterprises. We are looking at these young companies and firms. Those firms that have been established by young men, it is quite easier for them to get sponsors. Yes, but get a tech firm that has been started by a bunch of women. Or even by a woman, I can assure you, getting a sponsor, assuring those people that you are capable of what you say you can do as a tech firm, the trust is a bit less. There are very many questions. They doubt your ability to be able to actually run a tech firm as a woman. So the sponsors, I do believe, contribute a lot. I have seen a number of young girls. We have very many people graduating from Macquarie University, from UC, from very many tertiary institutions here in Uganda. And they're very smart chaps, smart young girls and smart young boys. But getting sponsorship, there is a bunch of sponsors who will tell you we cannot deal with female-oriented technology firms because of several issues, A, B, C, and D. But holding other factors, if you actually give these people a platform, I do believe that they could really do quite well, even supersede what their male counterparts can do. So that sponsorship is still a question that we need to answer. And I mean, what is as an SME without sponsorship? You need the funds. There is a lot that needs to be met financially for you to start up. So they do play a crucial role in developing this industry, but also they do contribute a lot to breaking this industry.
True, but I also want to talk to the men as well. If you see maybe a friend of yours, a female friend of yours who started up a small maybe female-owned tech company, encourage, and keep encouraging this young lady, to strive for better things. Also encourage other female friends. Maybe you are a male in the tech industry, encourage female friends to also get into this industry, because it's very important for, of course, humanity at the end of the day. So I'll bring it back also to the men, that they should encourage and support some of these women-owned tech industries, and also for the women, also support fellow women. Don't have that bias of, a woman cannot own such a business, or a woman is not emotionally ready to to take on this particular industry. So the encouragement should also mostly come from the men, but also the women's side as well.
Okay. Well, I'm still looking at the Ugandan scope, looking at gender divide in science, technology, engineering, and mathematics, STEM education. Gender imbalance in science disciplines actually continues to remain a challenge in the development process globally. It's not just held up or curtailed to only Uganda. Women make up to 35% enrollment in STEM globally, although in some regions it is actually less than that, and we are talking about 20%. Now, females remain quite disproportionately underrepresented in some of these STEM subjects. For example, there are 6,193 medical professionals in Uganda, 6,193 medical professionals in Uganda, with 2,291, that is covering a percentage of about 37% of women, and 3,902, that's about 62% of men. So you can still see that it's not balanced. We are looking at a 37% in comparison to 63%. Quite a very wide gap there. And a similar pattern can actually be seen in engineering, where we do have 7% of females and 93% of males. We're making a joke about this, about a friend of mine who did engineering at Macquarie University, and he was telling me, listen, we had like about only three students in our our engineering class. And then when you advance to the master level, specifically he was telling me about structural engineering. I think they had 2 or 3 ladies. And the class had about maybe 20 students. And I was wondering, what's going on? Why is
I mean,
this
that
happening?
is intimidating enough, right? Because you find a student entering a class of a mostly male-dominated.
Yes. I mean, you're looking at a class of about 20 males and you're only 3 or 2. And by the way, this is at the start of the course. It's not a given that these 3 are going to be able to graduate, because by default, the number reduces at graduation level because, you know, many complications here and there. But now, imagine 3 at the start. So by the end of the 2 years of the masters, how many females are you going to have? You probably have only one female, or even absolutely no one, because there's quite a lot of challenges in there. So it's no wonder that we are looking at statistics like this. And looking at architecture, specifically, we have about 20% females taking on this field, and 80% of males still taking on this field. Now again, if I may take you to the 2015 UNESCO science report, it indicated very, very low representation of females in all science fields, with 17% in natural sciences, 23% in engineering and technology, and looking at 31% in medical sciences, 20% in agricultural sciences, and 27% in social sciences. And looking still at the 2016 Wizard Assessment of Gender and STI in Uganda, it reported an overall ratio of 39% females, with a considerable variation between institutions. My, oh my. There is still quite a very wide gap of science subjects, both at tertiary institution, even at upper secondary institution. And for me, what really worries me a little bit is that we have been advocating for the intake of, and I mean the intake of science subjects, especially at A level. We had our USCE results come out, it was Friday, and still we could see the performance that was still a bit not satisfactory enough, especially for the science subjects, and the girls were not exactly really doing the most. And we are also looking that the trend is being carried on into the tertiary or university level of education, and then you get to the professional level. There is quite a whole lot that we are yet to do, and we are going to be looking at just a couple of things that I believe, or Kazimoto here believes, we could do to make sure that we kind of try to bridge that gap and bring it to a lower number. But before that, just remind you of our poll question on what we can do to make sure that we have women take on most of these platforms in the technological world, or do you believe that we actually have done enough to ensure that women take on some of these platforms? I do have a couple people responding here, and Innocent, you're saying that no, there is a very small number of women in the technological sector, and there is still a lot that is yet to do to be done. Anthony here saying that I am a man who is in the technological sector. One challenge I have seen is that women are being intimidated by their male counterparts, and I mean we have echoed that quite a lot. Yes, and Nabweteme Maureen here saying that there is a need for women to be more assertive, especially in these male-dominated fields like science and technology. And yes, Maureen talks about being assertive. I've also come to a realization, Kazimoto, that women have to do quite double the work.
Oh yes.
Yes, to prove themselves worth of the opportunities, because they believe there is going to be they don't want to be disrespected. They don't want to, I mean, profession-wise, I've done quite a lot. I've invested in my profession. I need to be able to prove to the people I work with, to my bosses, or if I am the boss, to my subordinates, that I do have all it takes, the skill, the academic qualifications, to ensure that I execute the responsibilities. So there is also that. Anyway, just briefly, what do you think we could do, some of the gaps that we could look into to ensure that we bridge this gap and we have women take on more spaces in the technological spaces?
First of all, I think we should gauge into the education the education system. I know that they have tried so much, for example, saying entry points to, let's say, tertiary institutions, to higher levels of learning. I feel they should give women a juicier deal. Like even university level, they should give women more juicier deals. Like for example, if you're in your finals in senior 6, for example, you say maybe at certificate level in sciences or in IT, it will be free for women, to encourage more women to gauge into those sectors as well, because you never know. For some women, actually, you never know. Someone can find a talent in IT, and yet originally they were maybe not that interested in gauging into it. Maybe another thing that they can do is have a support system. You could build and make a support system of women in tech, and use that as a platform to encourage other women maybe join the support system, or encourage other women to get into tech. Maybe also another thing, speak up if you're in the tech industry and you're having challenges, maybe with the male counterparts, and mostly in terms of sexual harassment. Speak up about it. And also stand up for yourself at the same time. Those are some of the things that I feel that women, that can encourage women to gauge more into the tech industry and also into the science industry as well.
Oh, well, there you go. But also going through to some of the progresses that have made on the equal opportunities in education, science, technology, and innovation in Uganda. I mean, it cannot all be bad. We agree that there's some strides we are making towards achieving the goal to have more women be fully involved in this field. But probably taking you through some of the progress that we have achieved as a country, Uganda has revitalized efforts to deploy science, technology, and innovation as catalysts of profound economic and social transformations. In fact, if you go ahead to look at the National Development Plan, that is the third one of 2020-2021 to 2024 to 2025, under Program 14, which looks at innovation, technology, development, and transfer. The goal of this program is to increase development, adoption, transfer, and even when you look at things like commercialization of technologies and innovations through a development of a well-coordinated STI ecosystems. Now, there are very many targets that are under this. The key targets are actually to be achieved over the next 5 years include, I'll take you a couple of them. Increasing the Global Innovation Index from 25 to 32 to 35, and also increasing gross expenditure. Of course, when you look at technological advancement, definitely there are certain things that come with it. And looking at the percentage of a GDP from 0.4% being contributed and raised to 1%, and also increasing business enterprise sector. I mean, we know what this does. If you are growing your business sector, whether at an informal level or a formal level, we know that it has quite a big contribution to the economy at large. But also, the government of Uganda has gone ahead to invest in aeronautics and space science, and I do believe that this will go a long way to play active when it comes to innovation of aeronautics and space exploitation and other observation systems. The other day we were here celebrating when we saw our Minister, Honorable Msenero, who was really doing quite a lot to make sure that we have our satellite being raised in the space. Yes, and for the first time in history. Of course, we are still a process. There is quite a lot that is yet to do, but it's a stride that we are already making. And I do believe that this satellite it will be used to do quite a lot of things. And one of the key things is to gather information that definitely will be helping in telling and giving us closely accurate weather patterns and mapping mineral wealth and generally securing the country. It's very, very key. And also maybe looking at the Uganda Science Education Policy 2005, it went on to make the study of physics and chemistry compulsory for O-level secondary school students, in addition to the subjects like biology, looking at English and mathematics. You would not understand this at that level until until you have gone beyond it and it makes sense to you as to why they made it compulsory. Now, enrollments in sciences at the upper secondary school level are only about 20% of the total enrollments, but the science preference policy also required first-year students at university to take science subjects rather. So yes, the enrollment has grown up a little bit. Yes, it's not yet to the levels we want, but we are seeing, like you did say at the start, baby steps. We are seeing improvements. We are seeing growing numbers slightly. Could be at a smaller scale, but we are seeing the numbers growing. So it would definitely be very, very worthy of us celebrating. And yes, the impact of affirmative action in education policy. Affirmative action, especially pushing for the women's rights at all sectors, I do believe it has grown to make this gender gap problem quite smaller. And speaking of this, it has not yet translated into equal women's preparation, participation in employment. But it's doing something. At least now I know that in most workspaces that you go to, you will see quite a number of women. When you go to these government ministries, when you go to the government departments, agencies, authorities, we have a couple of authorities here where we have women taking on the leadership roles. Look at NIRA, look at UNRA. We have all these women taking on all these spaces. So there is quite some work to be done, but there is work that has been done. So looking at affirmative action, it's something that we have to fully have science and technology quite mixed up to make sure that we can achieve a balance of the two. And yes, when we talk about public universities, they have done also quite a lot. They've made special provision to encourage women in science through their internal quota policies. I remember our teachers telling us back in high school, you need to do quite a lot to make sure that you get into the quota system. But they also went on to encourage us and create awareness that you could actually jump onto these, especially as a woman, to ensure that you benefit a lot. In fact, Makerere University alone back in 2019, it approved an affirmative action policy ring-fencing about 40% of vacancies in all the STEM disciplines for women. And also other universities like Busitema did reserve about 27 to 30% of admissions for female students. So if they're ring-fencing some of these vacancies, it clearly shows they want the women to take on these responsibilities. Don't just leave it to the men. And they do acknowledge and appreciate the challenges that are faced by women, because whether we like it or not, nature dictates that. So, I mean, there is quite a lot that we are doing, that we have done, and we are yet to do. And we'll be getting into some more of all this information here on Good Morning Uganda. But, well, also, just to remind you of our poll question before we look at the big stories in our papers, that is the Daily Monitor, New Vision, Daily Nation, and the Citizen. Do you think women have embraced the opportunities in the technological sector? Do you think women have embraced the opportunities in the technological sector? Hashtag UBCGMU and WhatsApp number 0709602592. We'll be getting into all of that. But yes, also looking at the big stories in the Daily Nation this morning, Uhuru pushed me to sign off 15 billion Kenyan shillings. Well, there you go, politics being politics. And embrace equity, International Women's Day. It is a global day we are celebrating. So yes, do expect quite some papers talking about women there in the Daily Nation. Matiangi's 7 hours of drama at DCI offices. That you can find in the Daily Nation. 12 on KPA shortlist as agency hands for new boss. And PSC rejects bid to drop non-practicing packs for doctors and lawyers as well. There you go in the Daily Nation this morning. But also looking at the Citizen this morning, U.S. envoy on trade, terror alerts Ukraine. Women bossing the digital music space. Clearly, we are on the right theme. And Samia redefining role of women in Tanzania, one of the greatest women we can actually celebrate with on the international block, on the East African block. Well, We'll go for a break. When we get back, we have Mollen who will be sharing with us some of the weather insights, and definitely we'll also be celebrating with her as a woman in tech and weather and meteorology. But yes, we'll also be going through the traffic situation this morning as it is a public holiday. I do anticipate a low traffic on our roads. We'll be back shortly after this break. Good morning.
The most affordable 4G smartphone in Uganda from Airtel. Now heavily discounted from 250,000 shillings to 150,000 shillings only. Yes, 150,000 shillings only to keep you connected to your loved ones.
Dial *175*94# to activate free 1 GB instantly and 100% double data on all weekly and monthly bundles for 3 months. Get one today while stock lasts from the nearest Airtel shop. With Airtel, the smartphone network.
Pick of the day on UBC. Objective and non-partisan.
Honorable Minister, there were a number of points. I want to start with you.
Straight from the hearts of open-minded men and women.
Money tends to move faster at night. So when
people are not counting,
don't take it for granted.
Candid and authentic.
Because Uganda is not Thailand.
That's not correct, and we should stop that kind of mentality. So what I'm saying
that's
is
a trick question. Don't answer.
I'm not getting into that. I'm not getting into that.
Tell him you speak Luo.
I think that's where we are beginning to have a problem.
Was brought to you by
Gatawo with MTN Momo Advance. Momo Advance tops up your Momo to complete your transactions. Dial *165*5*3# to apply. MTN Momo Advance is always available when you need it.
This isn't just a girl. She is the future. This is a teacher, a doctor, a community leader, our future president. She is the hope of our community. And as a community leader, I will talk to others about how we must protect her against child marriage and teenage pregnancy because it affects us all. We each have a role to play in empowering our teenage girls to protect them from pregnancy. Because when we empower them, we empower our nation. Protect the girl, save the nation.
Take action. Report any case of defilement or child marriage to the police or call Sauti 116. Live from UBC Studios in Kampala. This is Good Morning Uganda.
Traffic updates this morning or this Wednesday on the International Women's Day. Before we get into weather and climate, well, because by default it's a public holiday, you'd be expecting less traffic, especially on the upper side of a town. But yes, it's still traffic that is thriving on certain roads, and looking at areas surrounding Owino Market, looking at the Kisenyi bus terminal around there, Namirembe Road, for example, the traffic is not any different from the usual. The red stretches already here showing that traffic has already built up, and it's continuing to do so because they're taking over quite some more parts of this same area. Looking at Semungoma Road, also heavy in traffic, and also Mwanga 2 Road, which is already registering quite a traffic that is building up here and there. As you move on to Bakuli Bus Terminal, you would definitely be experiencing some traffic build-ups. Fort Road is already having quite an orange stretch, showing that traffic is taking over in this specific area. But looking at Kafumbe Mukasa Road this morning, for the biggest part of the road, you will not be experiencing any kind of traffic. However, as you're continuing to join over here, you will be getting all these hiccups here and there. So you need to make quite an efficient and appropriate map for you. Looking at the other part of Namrimbe Road as you're headed towards the Kampala Old Taxi Park, yes, there is some traffic building up here, and as you continue all the way, obviously you will be experiencing some more traffic. And the areas around, looking at Wilson Road, William Street, Button Street, Lumo Street, all drenched in quite some heavy traffic. Very, very busy roads this morning as you're using them to join the main road, which is Kampala Jinja Road, which is already having some traffic build-ups. May not be as heavy as every day, but yes, there is a traffic over there that is building up, so you need to brace yourself for that. And this actually applies for the people using it to access the city center, but also the people exiting the city center as marked by these arrows. Definitely you will have to be experiencing that. But I can say for the lower part of town, you'll be expecting a few traffic hiccups here and there. So do make some informed decisions if you are planning to access the city center on a public holiday. But usually we don't have very many people get into the main city to transact or run their businesses. That's it from the traffic section. And now looking at weather and climates, do have Molen on Zoom joining us and telling us what we would be expecting and more from this very specific segment. Molen, good morning. Thank you for joining us, and yes, happy International Women's Day.
Well, Philomena, thank you so much. Glad, have this morning on an International Women's Day. Well, it's a very interesting topic that you did bring up earlier with Lauren about, celebrating women in technology and innovation. And I think, women are taking on space in that regard. So yes, also that brings in the women in science. And falling in that category, I would say that there is still a lot of space that is needed for women to take on.
Yes.
But we also have to appreciate those who are already there and, doing a great job in that regard. So yes, happy Women's Day to you, Philomena, the women in science, but also to the rest of the women in Uganda and beyond.
I was telling Lauren over here that we are celebrating you because we know you. We know how passionate you are, considering that you're already part of the women in the tech spaces, being as a few women already as it is, but I know that we are making a stride. So again, congratulations on a second note.
Yes. Well, a lot of innovations, or even more of the science. We have also seen women tech lead, so that is something to really appreciate on that. It does come with challenges. The fact that men have been very much involved in that area, make it easy. Over time, you see that a huge percentage of women are trying to just measure up, but there is still chances there. And even right now, we talk about how we're performing. For example, the sub-national climate outlook forum happening here. We did see even a lot of women scientists that are coming up to develop most of these issues related to science. You also see a lot of women that are stepping up to be, leaders at particular levels in all these sectors. So yes. There is quite a lot. Yes.
All right, Molen. Well, speaking of weather and climate, what do you have for us today, this Wednesday? What do we expect?
Come again?
Speaking of weather, what do we expect for today, this Wednesday?
Well, it looks like it's starting off quite okay here in Mbarara. It is a sunny morning and quite cold. Mbarara gets cold in the morning. That is what we're looking at. But also you do look at areas that have continued to have mostly sunny weather for this morning. Right here looking at the satellites for the northern half of the country. That is going to be mostly dry for today and even through noon. That is continuous also towards eastern Uganda. But looking at areas of the Lake Victoria Basin, that is where you have Kampala, you have Entebbe, you have Wakiso. that is starting off quite dry as well. So we might be looking at quite some clear weather for this morning, except a few rains that are headed towards northwestern Uganda. So Arua, Yumbe, they might have some good luck starting off with the rains towards Women's Day. But otherwise, the rest of the country looks like much of this morning will be just a mix of clouds and sunshine. Temperatures quite pleasant, but very hot for northern Uganda and eastern Uganda.
Well, thank you so much, Molen, for the updates. And of course, allow me to let you go as we continue here with the International Women's Day celebrations. Well, we do have quite a number of things that we have to unpack for you and information here on Good Morning Uganda. And definitely we have the agenda where we'll still be talking about women here and there. So you want to stay around with us as we go all the way. Well, it's Good Morning Uganda. We'll be back after this.
This isn't just a girl. She is the future. This is a teacher, a doctor, a community leader, our future president. She is the hope of our community. And as a community leader, I will talk to others about how we must protect her against child marriage and teenage pregnancy because it affects us all. We each have a role to play in empowering our teenage girls to protect them from pregnancy. Because when we empower them, we empower our nation. Protect the girl, save the nation.
Take action. Report any case of defilement or child marriage to the police or call Sauti 116.
Of the day on UBC.
Objective and non-partisan.
Honorable Minister, there were a number of points. I want to start with you.
Straight from the hearts of open-minded men and women.
Money tends to move faster at night. So
when people are not counting,
don't take it for granted.
Candid and authentic.
Because Uganda is not Thailand.
That's not correct, and we should stop that kind of mentality. So what I'm saying
that's
is
a trick question. Don't answer.
I'm not getting into that. I'm not getting into that.
Tell him you speak Luo.
I think that's where we are beginning to have a problem.
Was brought to you by Gatawo with MTN Momo Advance. Momo Advance tops up your Momo to complete your transactions. Dial star 165 star 5 star 3 hash to apply. MTN Momo Advance is always available when you need it.
When you talk about our motherland Uganda, the pearl of Africa, you cannot fail to smile because of the smile that fills the faces of the citizens. Our nice good weather and nature that sustains us all, that enables us all to continue each in their own way because we are all different even according to each individual's work. But what joins us to become one person is the sweetness from the flavored drink Alleluia Jingati drink and Alleluia Tamarind drink. The flavor that quenches your thirst while at the same time treating and healing your body because it is 100% natural. Enjoy the drink that has got the tamarind juice in it. Made by Alleluia Reflexology, Healthy Solutions and Nutritional Research Center Limited. Get yourself a bottle of Alleluia from all shops around.
Well, if it was an emphatic finish from Mutanwa to bring Zambia level, that's an even better one.
Paying your bills the old way.
Let's go. Just need to buy some power.
Paying your bills with the My Airtel app.
Bro, there's a line.
You have the power in your pocket. The power to instantly pay your bills hassle-free. Unlock that power with the My Airtel app. Visit the App Store or Google Play now.
Oh, you're back.
Live from Now Avenue in UBC Studios. This is Good Morning Uganda.